Namaste, Oki, bonjour, hello, welcome to another Tuesday. It is, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's already almost more than halfway through April. Where did the month go? But I'm just really thankful and humbled to be able to share in a good way and just to be able to share in so many different ways. It's been a busy few weeks, and so I'm just really thankful and humbled that I could be here today, and that I made it after an event that I was at downtown. And so I just wanted to say hello and welcome everybody, and just give everybody kind of a heads up of what's up coming up in the next, well, a little bit over 2 weeks, so about 2.5 weeks. On May 5th, we have the Red Dress Day event. That's going to be happening at the in Mulkinstis at the Row of Crosses, so where they do the Remembrance Day celebrations every year. That's where we're going to be doing the beautiful Red Dress Day event. Of course, we're always looking for volunteers, so definitely reach out to me and I'll connect you if you're looking to volunteer or look at the Red Dress Day event. I will post the link to the Facebook event with this live stream if I can. I'll figure out how to do it later on. I'll just kind of update it. But I think it's just really important to be able to support community in a meaningful way and to really understand those stories that are kind of connecting us in such a big way. But before we start anything, I just wanted to welcome everybody in a good way. By just acknowledging the land upon which we stand. Because I always say, if you don't know where you are, you don't know where you're going. And I've been really privileged to call this place my home for many years. I have been living in Mulkinstis for over half my life, and I keep moving away and coming back. And it's just the sense of community and the sense of belonging, and the sense of creating community, I think, that really keeps drawing me here. And so I acknowledge the Blackfoot or the Nitsitapi, depending on which nation you're from, of Siksika, Gaina, and Bagani. I also want to acknowledge the Sarsi Dene, the Beaver people, of Tsutsuna, and the Stoney Nakoda of Morley, which includes Chiniki, Bears Paw, and Goodstoney First Nation. I think it's really important to acknowledge the fact that they have changed their name. Wesley is now Goodstoney. Is Goodstoney or Big Stony? But it's just really amazing when we're able to reclaim that sense of place and that sense of purpose and connection to the land and to those original intentions. And I also want to acknowledge the Métis of Region 3, because I'm Métis. I'm very thankful and humbled. My family is from Muskeg Lake Cree Nation and Treaty 6 territory, but it's really important just to acknowledge the land that we're standing on. And I'm just really thankful and humbled to be here. And so to welcome everyone in a good way, I wanted to share a song, the Cree Welcome Song. Traditionally, when we sing songs, we sing in rounds of 4 to honor the 4 directions of the medicine wheel. But this song we sing in rounds of 3 to keep the circle open and welcoming so everyone completes the circle today. Because in a circle, we're all connected. There's no beginning, there's no end. No one is greater or less than anyone else in the circle, just like in the hoop of life. So it teaches us to honor each other for those differences. Because if we were all exactly the same, the world would be super boring. There would be no color, and yeah, nothing would ever get done. So we need those differences to help our community thrive. It teaches us to really come together and honor each other in the circle, to honor each other in community, to not see each other as greater or less than, and to not compare ourselves to others because we're completely different. And by comparing yourself to someone else, you're diminishing your light. And just know that you're amazing and no one else could be like you. So don't compare yourself to someone else. That doesn't make any sense. But to welcome everyone in a good way, I wanted to share with you the Cree Welcome Song. So I'm hoping to get a little bit more information that I can post with this song, because this song it belongs to Joseph Natahau, and I'm really, really humbled and thankful that I've been able to speak with him, and also his Gerald, who also posted it and has shared it, and I just want to honor it in a good way. And so Mia Sin, which is the Cree Welcome Song, normally when we sing songs, we sing in rounds of 4 to honor the 4 directions of the medicine wheel, but this song, a little bit different. We sing in rounds of 3 to keep the circle open and welcoming so everyone completes the circle today, because in a circle, we're all connected. There's no beginning and there's no end. And I'm just really humbled and thankful for families like the Nataha family and for families like our family and for other knowledge keepers and elders who have really kept our teachings and our songs and our stories and our cultures alive. And so miasin, it doesn't just mean welcome, it also means beautiful. I'm going to stand up to sing. Miasin, miasen, hasemina, hasemina, epetakote, niwagomagan, hota, homa, Kitaskino miasen, miasen, hasemina, hasemina, epetakote, niwagomagan. Hota, homa, kitaskino, miasen, miasen, hasemina, hasemina, epetakote, niwagomagan, hota, homa, kitaskino, miasen, miasen, hasemina, hasemina, epetakote, niwagomagan, hota, homa, kitaskino. Hi, and welcome to the circle. So I think today, one story that's really been crossing my mind lately is the story of the Dreamcatcher. And I don't think I've ever actually shared it online, probably because it's a long story. So grab a drink, get ready. And so whenever I make dream catchers with people, I think it's really important to understand that the dream catcher, it's not just a thing that catches dreams, it's far more than that. It embodies all of the teachings of the Anishinaabe people and the Lakota people. And so when we know the full story behind it, we actually have a lot more love and faith and compassion, and it holds a lot more healing and a lot more significance for us. And so, the Dreamcatcher story. A long time ago, there was a grandmother, and everyone just called her Nokomis because Nokomis, well, she was the grandmother of the village. But she took very good care of her grandson. Now, her little grandson, he was definitely a handful. But the whole village was really suffering because this little guy had the worst nightmares. He would scream and scream and cry, and his screams were like blood curdling. So not only would they keep the entire village awake at night, but his screams were so intense that they were actually scaring away animals for miles and miles and miles around. So it didn't matter how often they moved camp, every time he would sleep, it would wake up and scare away all of the animals. But not only that, not only do animals need to rest, and not only do animals get scared, but the plants, they need to rest at night as well. And with those blood-curdling screams, they didn't get a chance to rest either, so everything was shriveling up and dying. And the only things that were really surviving were the things that were like underground plants. So things like roots, tubers, and so like potatoes and carrots and beets, all of those wonderful things that grow underground. Those were pretty much the only things that were surviving. And even there, they weren't thriving. But there's only so much tubers and potatoes that you can live on before you just kind of start to get a little hangry because you need food. And so people would wander further and further and out to try and find more and more food. But of course, because this little guy was having these horrible nightmares, um, nobody was able to find food. And so the grandmother, his Nokomis, would take him walking every single day. They would walk further and further out. She figured the further he walked, maybe, just maybe, he would sleep. And so, but every night, no matter how long the walk was, she would get home, she would tuck him in, she would give him a kiss, he'd start to fall asleep, and then he'd scream and scream and scream, cry and cry and cry, and wake up the entire village. And so this continued on for what seemed like months, until she started taking him on different journeys, different areas, places that she was really unfamiliar with. Then one morning, they ended up wandering into an unfamiliar clearing. And in the corner of the clearing, there was this big, beautiful, jeweled spider's web. And because of the dew in the morning light, it looked like glittering diamonds, just all in the beautiful webbing. And in the center, there was this big, giant, beautiful jeweled spider. And Nokomis was just taken aback by how gorgeous the whole thing was. And the grandson, who was feeling pretty hangry, he grabbed his moccasin, and then he went to go squish the spider. And Nokomis said, "No, grandson, that spider is sacred. She is a living being, and with the size of that web, she catches all of those bugs that wish to do us harm. So we must protect her as that sacred being that she is." And the spider, so thankful that Nokomis saved its life, said, "Nokomis, thank you for saving my life." And Nokomis said, "Ah, a talking spider." No, I'm just kidding. That's not what she said. She said, "Well, thank you, Ektome." Ektome is spider in Lakota. She said, "Thank you, Ektome, for protecting us the way that you do." And Ektome, the spider, said, "Nokomis, I have been waiting a very long time for somebody worthy enough to carry teachings from myself and my friends. But because you have showed your compassion and your kindness, I would like to share some amazing gifts with your nation." And Nokomis was very, very thankful. And she said, "Yes, absolutely, that would be wonderful. Thank you, Ektome." And Ektome said, "Nokomis, for the next 4 days, you will visit myself and my friends." Hold on a second. My son is vacuuming during my live stream. And so I'm gonna just send him a quick message. "Welcome to my world." I think he forgot. So, I've been talking a lot about trickster spirits, and I think this is the trickster spirit at play. 1 second. No, he's not answering, so I have to call my other son. Hi! So, I'm a mother of four children, and sometimes doing a live stream with 4 children is very, very difficult. One moment. I'm calling my other son to get him to cope him. Tell your brother I'm doing a live stream, please. Yeah, I'm online right now. Thank you. Love you. Bye. Hopefully, the vacuum will go off. You can tell we have a central vac. So, back to the teachings. Ektome told Nokomis that over the next 4 days she would be visited, or she would come to see Ektome, And then she would actually go and see a couple of other of Itome's friends. There we go. That was great. Awesome. That's my kids. Thank you. I guess I can't be perfect all the time. Um, but so Ektome said, so over the next couple of days you will come and visit me. So tomorrow, Nokomis, you will come and see me. But tonight there will be a huge storm, and it will knock loose a lot of willow branches. So you will gather all of those willow branches and you will come to see me the next day. And Nokomis said, oh, I didn't think there was a storm. She looked up and the sky was perfectly beautiful and bright and blue. But Nokomis smelled on the wind. There was a certain smell in the air. And she said, yeah, I think there will be a storm tonight. And sure enough, there was a massive storm. So Nokomis took her beautiful grandson home. She tucked him in and she thought, wow, maybe, just maybe the storm will be so intense that everyone will be able to sleep through her grandson's crying. Well, maybe he wouldn't cry. And so she tucked him in, and then he started to fall asleep. And he screamed and screamed and screamed and cried and cried and cried. And in spite of all of the thunder and the lightning and the massive windstorm outside, he still kept everyone in the village awake. The next morning, she packed up a lunch of pretty much carrots and potatoes, and then they kept on their path. Now, Nicodemus was able to continue on her path, and as they were walking, it was amazing how many branches had been knocked loose from the trees. She was able to gather all of these soft and supple willow branches, and everything that she gathered, she had a full armful. Her and her grandson both had quite full arms. And as they brought it back to Ektome explained to Nokomis how to create and weave a big hoop by weaving and intertwining all of those beautiful sticks together. And as she did, she explained that this hoop, it supports itself. Just like our community, we are all supported within community. Not one branch is more important than any other branch, but together they are all interconnected and support each other. And these branches and this circle, it represents community, but it also represents the hoop of life. And so everything within the hoop of life is interconnected. Everything relies on everything else, and not one thing is greater than the other. The smallest blade of grass is just as important as the tallest soaring eagle, the Magizi, and we all need to rely on each other and recognize the teachings that we all carry. Nokomis was very thankful and humbled for this beautiful teaching. And then Ektome said, tomorrow, Nokomis, you will come and see me, but you will take a little bit of a longer walk to come and see me. First, you will walk along the riverbank just outside of your village. You will follow the river until the ocean, and as you walk along the ocean, you will find gifts. And then you will continue on your path through the prairies, through the fields, through the forest, and then eventually back to see me. But along your journey, Nokomis, you will find beautiful gifts at your feet, little rocks and gems and shells and stones that will catch your eye. And every time you pick up one of those beautiful gifts that are at your feet, then you will have a memory with you, a beautiful memory that you will carry in your heart. Nokomis was very thankful, and she looked forward to that beautiful day tomorrow. She said good night to Ektome, and off she went back to her nation. She was hoping that because of all of the branches that they had carried and all of the work that they had put into weaving these branches together, maybe, just maybe, her grandson would actually get some rest. And so that night she tucked him in, she gave him a hug and a kiss, she read him a beautiful story, and she started to tiptoe away as he started to fall asleep. And then he screamed and screamed and screamed and cried and cried and cried and kept everybody in the village awake. Well, everyone was just beside themselves. The next morning, Nokomis packed up her grandson, and away they went on a very long walk. First, they walked along the riverbed, and sure enough, there were beautiful gems and rocks and stones that really glittered and caught her eye, things that she would have completely missed had she not been looking down and paying attention. She continued to walk until she started to go towards the ocean and then along the banks, not only of the river, but all along the shore. And as she did, she found all of these beautiful little rocks and gems and shells. And she noticed on some of the shells a beautiful spiral pattern. Every time she was picking up a rock or a gem or a shell or a stone, she was thinking about moments in her life, things like people she had met or experiences that she'd had or lessons that she had learned or stories that were shared with her from all of the people in her life. And as she picked them up, she also remembered people in her life, maybe people who had been past or people who just really made an impact. And she continued, and it was like a big memory trough was just forming in her hands with all of these beautiful rocks and gems and shells and stones. She continued to walk through the path up the valley and then all through the fields, all through the forest, and then eventually making her way back to Ektome with so many beautiful gems and rocks and shells and stones in her hands. Then she brought them to Ektome and she said, Ektome, look at all these beautiful gifts. I would have completely missed them had you not told me to look for them. And Ektome explained, well, sometimes if we're not looking for something, we'll completely miss it. Sometimes if we pay attention to the gems and those beautiful gifts that surround us without looking for something specific, we'll find so much joy and so much beauty just beyond our reach, just beyond our vision. And Ektome explained, and all of those beautiful gifts are like the gifts in our lives. They might be learnings or teachings, hard learnings or hard teachings, but they're those things that we learn on our path. They're the people who are those gifts along our path, and those experiences that are both good and bad are gifts in their own way. Nokomis saw all of those beautiful gifts, and then she said, what do I do with them now? Ektome gave her a single strand of silk and showed her how to tie one knot to start it on the outside of that beautiful hoop that she had made. And then Ektome explained how to weave that beautiful thread in a spiral. And as she did, she showed Nokomis how to attach those gems and rocks and stones and little jewels to the beautiful spiral that she was creating. And she explained this spiral is like our own spiral of life. We start on the outside and we tie that little spiral with our belly buttons. That's how we tie our belly buttons. And then we continue. And every moment shapes and molds who we are. It teaches us who we are until we spiral into the center and then back to source. But this spiral is also our beautiful universe. Our universe is that beautiful spiral that eventually goes back to source. And there's so many spirals that continue to be around us. Not only the spider web and the spiral of that, but also when we look at some of those shells, they are that spiral reflected as well. So it's those teachings that surround us each and every day. Nokomis continued to tie in all of those beautiful gifts, remembering all of those wonderful memories and some not so wonderful memories, but thankful for the teachings that she had learned. And then she got all the way to the center, to the source. She was very thankful and humbled for all of the teachings she had learned. And then she said, oh, I'm so ready for my next teachings tomorrow. And Ektome explained, tomorrow, Nokomis, you will not come and see me. Tomorrow with first light, you will head all the way to the east, and you will be greeted by one of my friends. And then after you receive all of the teachings from my friends, you will follow the sun, and you will head to the south. And as you are there, you will be greeted by another one of my wonderful friends. Once those teachings are completed, as the sun is setting in the sky, you will be greeted by another one of my friends as you head to the west to the setting sun. Then after all of those teachings have been shared with you, go home, rest, and the next day, head to the north before you meet your final gift, your final teacher. And then you will come back to me after those teachings are learned. Nokomis was very thankful, and she said goodnight to Ektome and packed up her grandson. They had been on such a long journey. She was really hoping that he was just exhausted. She had to carry him about half the way home because he was so tired. And so she tucked him in, hoping that tonight, maybe, just maybe, he would sleep. And so she tucked him in. He started to fall asleep. And then he screamed and screamed and screamed and cried and cried and cried and kept everybody in the village awake. Well, Nokomis woke up the next morning. Well, actually, she didn't sleep, so she was already up. And she packed up her grandson, and with morning light, the first morning light, they headed to the east. And as that sun was rising in the sky, the colors were painted in the sky. It was absolutely beautiful. And she made it all the way. And as she was walking to the east, she heard a loud as she looked up, she saw a beautiful hawk circling. The hawk got closer and closer until it finally stopped and said, Nokomis, I've been looking forward to sharing these wonderful teachings with you. These are teachings of fire, teachings of our youth and of our children's ceremonies, teachings of men's ceremonies. So the hawk shared many, many different ceremonies with Nokomis. Every time he shared a teaching, every time he shared a ceremony, she knew exactly who in her nation was going to carry those teachings forward. She was so thankful and humbled for all of this beautiful wisdom. And she said, oh, thank you so much, Miigwech. And the beautiful hawk said, now before I take off, I have a gift for you, and gave her a single feather. Nokomis grabbed that feather, and she was so thankful. She held it to her heart, and she said Miigwech again, as that beautiful hawk flew off into the sky to the east. And then Nokomis, remembering what the Aktome had said, started walking to the south to follow the sun. Now the sun was getting really high, high, high in the sky. It was about noon. And, well, her grandson was getting pretty hangry. So what little they had, but they found a beautiful cedar tree to sit under. And so as they were sitting under the cedar tree, snacking on their carrots and their potatoes and whatever tubers they had to eat, they heard laughter. Ah, 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 ah. And then they wondered who was laughing, and they were trying to look around to see the source, and then they saw, ah, 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 the beautiful raven. The raven jumped down and said, Nokomis, I am so excited to see you. I have been waiting so long to share such wonderful teachings with you. These are teachings of the earth. These are teachings of all of the different animals and all of their stories and what they teach us. Different teachings of all of the ceremonies about the earth and honoring those animals. Also our coming of age ceremonies, because this is the time of our life in the South when we are in our adolescence and when we learn about the relationship that we have with our bodies and with the physical earth. Nokomis listened intently to all of these wonderful teachings, and she laughed at some of the hilarious stories. And by the end of it, the beautiful raven had shared so many incredible teachings and stories and all of the teachings around the medicines. And Nokomis knew exactly who in her village was going to carry each and every one of those medicines, each and every one of those stories, and each and every one of those teachings. She was so thankful and humbled. And then the raven said, now I have to go. But before I do, I'm going to tell you a joke. And Nokomis said, okay. He said, what did the mama buffalo say to the baby buffalo on his first day of school? And Nokomis said, I'm not quite sure. And the raven said, bye, son. And with that, flew away. Nokomis rolled her eyes at the terrible joke and chuckled a little bit. And her grandson continued on their path, following the sun to the west. And as they headed further and further to the west, the sun was setting in the sky with these beautiful colors of richness. And Nokomis was so thankful and overcome with the beauty of the sky. And then Grandmother Moon started rising higher and higher, higher in the sky, lighting up the ground below with this beautiful white glow. And Nokomis continued until she ended up in a forest, exactly where I suppose she needed to be. Now, even though the forest was casting many, many shadows, it still seemed very, very bright and warm because of that beautiful full moon that was shining through. Then Nokomis wondered if she would ever find that friend, that next guide, and then she heard a gentle woo-hoo, woo-hoo, and then she felt a gentle silent wind across her face, and then a beautiful owl landed just in front of her and said, Nokomis, I have been waiting for you. I have beautiful, wonderful teachings for you to share with your nation. These are teachings of water keeping, teachings of Grandmother Moon, teachings of our beautiful birthing ceremonies, of our women's ceremonies, and all of the teachings around matriarchy. Nokomis listened intently to all of these beautiful teachings of different medicines and ceremonies and all of our connections to the moon. And she was overcome with so much joy, but she was overcome with so much tears as well. It was these tears of joy she couldn't explain. And the beautiful owl explained that our emotions are sacred and they come out whenever we are feeling so deeply connected to spirit and to ourselves and to community, and to honor our tears. Nokomis was so thankful for all of these wonderful teachings and stories and ceremonies, and she knew exactly in her nation who would be carrying those stories forward, including herself, and who would be carrying those ceremonies forward. And so she was very thankful and humbled. And then that beautiful owl started to fly off on the breeze and dropped a single feather. Nokomis grabbed the feather, held it to her heart, and very thankful for those teachings, packed up her grandson, and they started to head home. Now it had been a long journey, so she had to carry him the whole way home this time. And she was very thankful and humbled for all of the teachings she had learned. She felt so full of knowledge, and she felt very at peace. She thought, maybe, just maybe, her grandson would feel the same way, and maybe, just maybe, he would sleep. And so she tucked in her grandson when they got back, and it was so late that the village was actually silent and peaceful and sleeping. And she thought, maybe, just maybe, he'll sleep. And so she tucked him in. She gave him a kiss. He started to roll over and fall asleep. And they screamed and screamed and screamed and cried and kept everybody in the village awake. And all of the people, you could hear just that sigh of, oh, not again. But Nokomis, being very kind and very patient, she remembered the teachings of Ektome, and she packed up her grandson in that morning, and she headed straight to the north, just like she was told. And as she headed to the north, the wind was cold on her face. The sky was beautiful and clear and blue like a crystal. And as she looked up, she saw a teeny tiny little speck circling above her. And as it got closer and closer, she recognized it as Magizi, the eagle. And the eagle soared down. He said, "Oh, Nokomis, I am so thankful you're here. I have so many different ceremonies and teachings to share with you." He shared with her so many beautiful teachings, teachings of our ceremonies having to do with spirit, teachings of our elders, teachings and stories for our elders, and so many different medicines that are connected to spirit. Nokomis was so thankful and overcome by all of the incredible beauty in the teachings, and she knew exactly in her nation who would be sharing those teachings. They gifted her the teachings of the pipe, even though that pipe hadn't come to the nation yet. He knew when it would come soon and what to look for. Nokomis was so thankful for these beautiful teachings, and before Magizi left, he plucked a beautiful feather and he gifted it to her. She was very thankful and held it to her heart. Magizi the eagle explained that this feather is sacred. You are the first person to ever be gifted an eagle feather. An eagle feather is a gift of accomplishment. It shows that you have done something incredible for your nation and that you will continue to show that responsibility for our future generations. It is a beautiful gift of accomplishment. Carry it with pride. And then with that, he flew off. And Nokomis went back to see Ektome, that beautiful spider. Ektome, who was sitting in the corner, of course, weaving her beautiful web as per usual. And Nokomis came and she said, Ektome, thank you so much for those beautiful gifts of those beautiful guides that you shared with me. And I know exactly who in my nations will be carrying those stories and those ceremonies. So thank you again. And she said, now, Nokomis, we will complete our journey together. She held up that beautiful hoop with the beautiful weaving in it, and she showed Nokomis, Ektome showed Nokomis how to hang those beautiful feathers. First, in the east, she hung that beautiful hawk feather. In the south, oh right, I forgot to mention, the raven gave her a feather as well. In the south, she hung that beautiful raven's feather. And in the west, she hung that beautiful owl feather. And then she was about to put the eagle feather at the top. And then Ektome explained, no, Nokomis, this eagle feather is yours. You will only pull it out during ceremony or when you are sharing your wisdom with others, because this is your accomplishment and yours alone. Nokomis was very thankful for those beautiful teachings. And then she held up that beautiful gift. Oop, I'm going to hold this up. that's it. And Nokomis was said, well, what's this? And Ektomi explained, this is the dream catcher. It carries all of the teachings, all of the knowledge, and all of the ceremonies for the Anishinaabe and Lakota people. It is our guide on our journey. It protects us, but it also leads us home. And Nokomis was so thankful. Ektomi explained that tonight, hang this beautiful dream catcher over your grandson's cradle board, over his bed, and he will never be worried again, because like so all of those bad dreams, they are pretty greedy. Bad spirits are pretty greedy, and so they will see those beautiful rocks and gems and stones and shells, and they will grab onto them, and they will get tangled in the webbing, just like a spider catches a fly in a spider's web. But just like the dew on a spider's web in the morning, they will burn off in the sun. But those beautiful dreams, those good intentions, they will slip through the netting and drip down to the dreamer below. And any of those good dreams and good intentions and good wishes and hopes that don't make it down to the dreamer, they will fly off, soar off on the spirits of those beautiful birds. Nokomis was so thankful for this beautiful teaching, and she knew that hopefully, just hopefully, her grandson would sleep. But if anything, she had incredible teachings for her nation. So that night she went and she shared such incredible teachings, all of those gifts, all of those ceremonies with the people who were supposed to carry them, all of the stories and the medicines with the people who were supposed to carry them. And all of the people in her nation started to feel full, not of food, because of course they were kind of going through a little bit of a famine. I mean, there's only so many potatoes and carrots that you can have before you feel hungry. But as they were listening, they felt like they were feasting, because they were feasting on knowledge, feasting on wisdom, and they were holding all of this in themselves. And they felt full in a different kind of way. It was a spiritual fullness, a mental fullness, and an emotional fullness, even if it wasn't a physical in your tummy fullness. And so that night, everyone went into their teepees feeling quite full of knowledge and wisdom, and very full in a different way. And so Nokomis hung that beautiful dream catcher above her grandson's bed. She gave him a hug and a kiss. She tucked him in, and then she started to tiptoe away and waited. And her grandson closed his eyes. He started to drift asleep, and he slept. He actually slept. He slept so incredibly soundly that no one in the village woke up. But there was a different stillness in the village this evening. It was not only the stillness of people who hadn't slept in a really long time, but it was a stillness of wisdom, a stillness and silence of understanding, of connection to spirit, something that never had been heard before. This kind of stillness was almost earth-shattering. And so all of the animals had never felt this kind of silence, had never felt this kind of stillness before, and they wanted to be close to it. So they've started to creep in the village for miles and miles and miles around. All of these animals gathered to understand and to be close to this stillness and this spiritual connection. All of the plants who had shriveled up and died, well, they had never experienced this kind of warmth, this kind of, energy before. And so they started to grow taller and taller and taller. Many of them started to bloom. And so in the morning, when everyone came out, there was an abundance of animals. There was an abundance of food everywhere. And everyone was so incredibly excited and, well, hungry. But they remembered the teachings that they were shared from the beautiful raven about only taking what we need from the land and giving thanks. So they gave thanks, they asked permission, they took what they needed, and they always gave a prayer for everything that they took from the earth, making sure that they gave something back. And that night they feasted. They feasted so beautifully and they were so thankful and humbled for all of the teachings that those beautiful guides had given them and that Ektomi had given them. And that little boy, well, he never had a nightmare again, and he grew to be one of the greatest chiefs the Lakota and Anishinaabe people had ever seen. And that is the true story of the Dreamcatcher. I know it's a long story, but it's a getter. And so I'm going to share an Anishinaabe story or a song. I think I will share the Anishinaabe bear song, or not bear song. Yeah, actually, let's do the bear song. Yes. I don't know. That's been in my head, so we're going to do the bear song. And the bear, again, teaches us about listening, about paying attention to the world around us. And so, there we go. This is the Anishinaabe bear song. And I'm very thankful for a few of my elders who shared this with me in many different ways. So I did a community version. I'm going to share the mother song. So this song I learned from my friend Lacey, who learned it from her elder. We did kind of a song exchange, so I shared a song with her, she shared a song with me, and I think that's just a beautiful way to learn songs because you're gifting at the same time, and you have different journeys with those songs. And so this song is a mother calling out and a child calling back, and of course the mother we our parents or caregivers, we always just want to take care of our kids. We want to make sure that they have the best start that they can, that the best opportunities that they can, that they're protected and honored and loved, and they know that no matter what, we want to protect them. And unfortunately, we didn't really have that opportunity because of the residential schools and the 60s scoop and the foster care system to really raise our children. And we're trying to repair that loss of traditional ways of knowing, that loss of traditional ways of child rearing. But we're starting to get those back. There's a lot of people who are breaking that cycle of intergenerational trauma and really reclaiming themselves as parents. I know myself personally, I broke that cycle because I wanted to be the parent that my children deserved. I wanted to be the parent that I always wanted growing up for my children. And so that's how I broke that cycle of abuse. I also broke it by going to ceremony and to learn about my culture and my history and not be afraid of it and not be ashamed of it anymore, because that was a huge part of breaking that cycle of intergenerational trauma. And so this song really honors that and honors those caregivers and those parents and those people who are making those changes for their community, for their own families, and for other people. And so, yeah, this is the mother song. Yeah. So I know we are coming up close to the May 5th event. So I think it's really important to be able to share some women's songs so that we can learn them, some community songs so we can learn them, because our voices are more powerful when we share them. And so, especially together, there's something really incredibly powerful about people drumming and singing and sharing these songs and that intention together. It really does move mountains. And so the song that I'm going to share is the Women's Honor Song. And so the Women's Honor Song is, it's actually from Joan Henry. She's Arapaho Cherokee. And I'm just really thankful that she's shared this song. And then I'm going to share another women's song after that. And so this is the Women's Honor Song. And you can kind of hear that pulse in it. And so if you feel that need to pulse or feel that need to drum, please, please, please do. Absolutely. It's called Anagea. Anagea, wehawiya, wehana wehe, wehawiya, wehawiya, hawiya, Anagea, wehawiya, wehana wehe, wehawiya, wehawiya, hawiya, when away, when away we are, when away, we oh hey we are, we high, we high, we high, we are, Anagea, we how we are, we on away, we how we are, we how we are, how we are. When away, when away we are, when knowing, we oh hey we are, way higher, way high, way high we are, Anagea, way how we are, way on away, way how we are, way how we are, how we are, when away, when away we are, when knowing, we oh hey we are, way higher, way high, way high we are, Anagea, way how we are, way on away, way how we are, way how we are, how we are, when away, when away we are, when knowing, we oh hey we are, way higher, way high, way high we are, Anagea, way how we are, way on away, way how we are, way how we are, how we are, Anagea, way how we are, way on away, way how we are, way how we are, how we are, how we are. I think that drum wants to be used, so that's my son's drum. And when drums jump at me, usually I want to use them. Okay. So the next song I'm going to share is the Strong Woman song. And so the Strong Woman song is an Oji Cree song. And it used to be known as the Turtle song. Because the turtle, of course, represents Grandmother Moon. She represents our beautiful Mother Earth. Because we're held on the turtle's back. This is why we call it Turtle Island. But it represents, our moon time. It's that strength and that connection that we have as women, as sacred beings, but also as all people, because we all are connected through our heart. We're all connected through Grandmother Moon, and through the water, and of course through the earth. And so, yeah, this is the Strong Woman song. Warrior song. And so this is a sailor song. It is from the West Coast, and it was brought forth during AIM to really honor and acknowledge the grandmothers who were kind of on the front lines during like the Oka crisis, during a lot of the things that were going on there. But the grandmothers came out, and this song kind of came through a sweat lodge to honor the grandmothers who had been arrested for no good reason, to honor them as they came out of prison, to really show that community support. And so this is the Women's Warrior song. So the last song I'm going to share, this is a thank you song that I learned from Jessica Scorpia McMahon. Thank you very much. And it's just our way to say thank you. We say thank you to our grandmothers, to our grandfathers, and to each other. And really to that spirit that connects us through gratitude. Gratitude is such an important emotion, and I think sometimes we forget to honor that gratitude. But when we do, great things happen. Magic happens. So this is the thank you song. Hi everyone. I'm a witch. Thank you so much. I hope to see everyone next week. Well, online, I suppose. But also feel free to share. These teachings are open to everyone. Because I think it's important to honor and share community with everyone. And so I hope to see everybody in 2.5 weeks. I will be posting that information as soon as I hop online and actually get it. And then, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing everybody at that community event. If you are at a school, you're like, I'm not sure if I have the day off. You do have the day off. So it has been mandated through the CBE. I believe the Catholic system as well, because there's a lot of Catholic teachers that are going to be coming to the event. And it will be in the evening anyway, so we will have a lot of opportunities to catch up, to touch base. It's on a Friday, so we can even stay out late and really have those conversations on a deeper level, because building community, that's what we need to do. We need to be there to share each other's stories, to share each other's grief, to share each other's joy, and just to share each other's company and community. So magwitch everyone, hi, merci, and thank you again. I will see you next week. Bye.